I'm walking around feeling free, thinking about what's happened to me from July up till now. Don't know where, don't know how.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Bookmas Day 8. Now, if you have noticed, or if you have not noticed, I'm going to tell you anyways, I did not record or upload a day 7. My videos go 6 and then 8. That was not on purpose. It was, I got really busy and I didn't have a chance to record day 7 because work and life and things happen. So we're going to kind of roll this video into day 7. So it's going to be like 2 days combined. This is Bookmas Day 7 and 8. In this video, what we're going to be doing is talking about my goals and plans going into 2025. That's going to be the first part. And then the second part is going to be kind of really briefly showing you what I have created for tracking my reading. Typically, or in 2024, I should say, I have used Notion to track my bookshelf, how many books I've read, the ratings, all of that kind of stuff. And instead, in 2025, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different that I think I'm going to like better, because while Notion is good, it's free, it does a lot of stuff for people. I'm an Excel person. I live in Excel on my day-to-day life. If I can make a table and a graphic and a chart and all of that kind of stuff and pivot tables, that's my happy spot. So I have a Google Sheet that I have created, and I'm going to walk through all the different tabs that I have. And this is going to be my tracker in 2025. And hopefully it works the way that I'm anticipating it. So we're going to be on the second part looking at that, and that might also help you if you are looking at a good kind of efficient way of tracking your reading. So let's go ahead and just jump into my goals. So for 2025, the reading goal that I'm going to have is the same reading goal I had for 2024, which is 120 books. It is now December the 17th, and I'm recording this literally on the day that I'm uploading it. That's how crazy my life has been, work-wise and personal-wise. It's been all over the place. But regardless, it is December the 17th, and I have read 114 books to this point. So I still have half the month to go and 6 books to read to hit my goal. I really don't know if I'm going to be able to do that just because I do work and things happen. And so because I didn't blow the 120 goal for this year out of the water, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it the same goal going into 2025. So hopefully in 2025, 120 books. Now, I am going to kind of split out a little bit what that 120 books are going to be consisting of. So one of the goals that I have in 2025 is I want to read 3 classics. I have been trying to read Dracula, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Frankenstein for the last 2 years. Every Halloween, every October, that's the 3 books I try to read. And for the last 2 years, I have not been able to do that. So I'm going to hopefully be able to read 3 classics. The goal are those 3, but any 3 classics will do. That's my goal. I also want to read 3 nonfiction or memoirs. My other goal, which is going to be a little bit harder, is I want to try to read 4,000 pages each month. Now, I do keep track of how many pages I read through Storygraph. It'll give me like a little graphic every month of how many books I read, how many pages I read, and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to continue to use Storygraph just because it's the easiest tracking for page count. But at the very beginning of the year of 2024, I hit 4,000 pretty regularly, around 4,000, sometimes not exactly 4,000, but around the 4,000 mark. Once it hit like August, that has dramatically dropped off. And it's just because my reading has just kind of fallen to the wayside as of like fall time. So my goal is to try to read 4,000 pages a month. And that's the one I'm most unsure if I'm actually going to be able to do each month. The other goal that I have is I'm going to continue the same goal that I had in 2024 regarding the amount or the percentage of unread books I currently have on my bookshelf. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit when I get to my data sheets. You're going to see what I have. So the goal is going to be 25% or less of the books that are on my bookshelf are unread. So I would love to have 75% of all of the books on my bookshelf as read by the end of 2025, leaving the remaining 25% as unread. So that I don't think I know actually I'm not going to be able to hit in 2024 because I had that same percentage. It's just not going to happen. I've bought way too many books and I just know 100% it's not going to happen in 2024, but I'm going to try to make that happen in 2025. So those are my big picture reading goals. Now I want to go over into my reading YouTube goals. So just going forward into 2025, my goal would be at the end of 2025, I would love to be able to say that I have 500 subscribers. That was the same subscriber count that I was trying to get in 2024. I did not meet it. That is perfectly fine. Even one subscriber is amazing because I didn't think even 100 people would subscribe to my channel. So thank you if you have subscribed. And if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that button and I would greatly appreciate it. But my goal would be in 2025 to have 500 subscribers to this channel. Amazing. And then going along with that, my other goal is going to be for the quantity of videos I record and upload to this channel. So my goal is to have at least once a week a video upload, preferably on Wednesday. That's the day that I would love to be able to record and have that upload done. So Wednesdays would be my weekly videos, and then potentially having a second video on Saturday for those instances where life allows me to record and upload another video. It would be on Saturday, but the goal would be to have one video a week uploaded every Wednesday, and then potentially a second one on Saturday if that is allowed. My plan for the type of videos just going into 2025, I'm going to focus on monthly resets, which is going to be, I am going to have a reading journal in 2025. My plan is to have me kind of do a monthly reset for that particular month, and then also planning ahead for the next month. So I'll have monthly wrap-ups and reading journals, and then also TBR, like the monthly TBRs like I have been doing, but I'll just be adding in my reading journal. And I'm actually going to have a Bookmas video coming up very soon on me setting up my 2025 reading journal. So if you would be interested to see what that reading journal is going to look like and the spreads that I'm going to have, and then definitely make sure you follow so that way you'll be able to see when that video goes live. I'm also going to be having potentially for my TBR videos, one of the other Bookmas videos I have coming up soon, which I think is going to be the next video after this one, is going to be me making mini books that I'm going to keep in like a TBR jar. So instead of picking like a card or like a prompt and then finding that book, I'm going to be picking from that TBR jar the actual mini book of all of the unread books I have on my bookshelf. I'm probably not going to be doing my entire TBR for the month that way, but maybe one or two books, that will be the way that I'm going to be pulling my TBR. So I am going to be using the mini books, and I will be having a video of me making those mini books coming up very, very, very soon. I also want to do hauls and unhauls. I usually have a mid-year unhaul and then a end of the year unhaul, but potentially having new book hauls if I do have a lot of books come in, challenges, and then some vlogs. Vlogs would be kind of on not a consistent basis, just because I don't like to do daily vlogs, just because I work 40 hours a week and then I have 2 kids. So my daily life is pretty boring. I'm pretty much sitting at this desk all day until 4 p.m.-ish. And then I have to go pick up my daughter from school. And then I have to do like bath time and, helping her people read and do homework. And it's personal. It works for my life, but I don't think that many people would enjoy watching it. So the vlogs would be weekly vlogs, and they would just be every once in a while when those happen. So those are kind of the video types that I was planning on doing in 2025. That is my plans for my reading channel going into 2025. This is definitely not set in stone. The goals that I had earlier about the number of books I wanted to read, the classics, the memoirs, number of pages. Those are set. Those are what I am going to be shooting for in 2025. Those are going to be set in stone. That's what I'm going to be doing. But the plans for the reading channel, those could fluctuate. So do not hold me to anything I said during the plans portion. Just want to put that out there. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is I want to walk through the Google Sheets that I have for my reading trackers. Okay, so this is my Google Sheets that I have. I'm calling this All Things Reading 2025. That is the name of my file. And I have several tabs at the very bottom, if you can see. So this first tab that we're going to talk about is my summary. So this is where I'm going to list my reading goal that I have, which is 120 books. This is just if I change this, so say this is the same thing I'm going to use going into 2026, so I can change this to 2026, and my reading goal title here will change, but we're going to go ahead and change that back to 2025. So I do have a lot of formulas kind of built in to try to make this as automated as possible, so that way I don't have to type in over and over and over and over and over the same type of content. So just wanted to put that out there. That's another reason why I really, really, really like Excel. I can get a lot of formulas to work and do the things that I want it to do. So the next section is the number of books read, and that's going to count the number of books that are going to show up in my reading log tab, which we're going to be going over next. So that's automatically going to populate. It's going to have the percent goal. This right now, it's ignored this, but once it hits January, this will be changed. So essentially what it's doing is it is looking at, I have hidden over here what the current month is, and then the month number. So it's looking at the current month that we're in. So for right now, it's December. So it says that it is month 12. And the formula is assuming if I do 120 books, that's 10 books a month for 12 months. So it's taking the current month, 12, times the 10 books a month that I would like to do, which makes that 120. And it's taking that 120 and dividing it by my goal, which is 120. So it's coming out to 100%. So once January happens, this is going to be the percent goal is going to be 1 times 10, which is 10, divided by 120. It's going to automatically calculate the percentage goal that current month should be at. And then the next section is going to be my actual percentage. So it's taking the number of books that I've read that it's pulling from my reading log, and it's dividing that by my goal. So you'll be able to see my goal was, say this is in January, my goal was to read 10 books and I read 11 books, then it's going to say that my percent complete is going to be a higher percentage than what my goal percent complete should be during the month of January. Hopefully that makes sense. I do plan on potentially bringing this up in my monthly wrap up so that way you can kind of see how this goes on a monthly basis. So, but just as a heads up, this is what the formula is going to do, and hopefully once it rolls into 2025, it's going to make much more sense when the numbers actually show accordingly. And then this is just where it's calculating what the current month is that I'm in for exactly for today. So, and then I have 2 banners. So days until the end of 2026, which right now it's calculating at 379 because we haven't even gotten into 2025 yet. So there we go. Days until the end of 2025. So it kind of gives you a countdown for how many days you have left to try to hit your reading goal. And then remaining books it is looking at the total number of books that I've read for the year and then subtracting it from the goal. So that way you can see that I still have right now, because it's saying I've read 0 books, I have 120 books to read to hit my goal. That's the top piece. And then I have down here, it's just going to have, this is automatically going to pull the books for that particular month. It's going to pull a pivot table from this. And so this is going to be the pivot table. And then this is going to be the graphic that will be coming. And hopefully I tested it. I played around with it yesterday and it all worked. So hopefully it will continue. So that is my summary. And now we're going to jump into my reading log. So this is going to be a big, massive table. If you see anything in gray, if you see like columns in gray, that means that there is a formula built in that cell. So I know I don't I don't need to do anything with that cell unless I need to overwrite it. So this is going to be, say it's January the 1st and I am reading whatever this is going to be. We'll say book 1. This column here is if I have in my bookshelf right here a book titled book 1, it is automatically going to be pulling that genre. So if I have book 1 in my bookshelf. So we'll say, we'll do Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass. If I want to do a reread of Throne of Glass, it's automatically going to pull Romantasy because that's what I have in my bookshelf. So, but if I don't, so say for this in January, I decide to read a book I don't currently own, I can say book 1, and then I can decide I want to overwrite it. And instead, I'm going to choose whatever category that genre is. So I'm just going to say dark romance because it's the one on top. And then I have here is going to be the type of book. I'm just going to say it's a physical book. I'm going to say I'm going to start it on January the 1st, 25. And then I'd say I finish it on January 3rd, 25. It's automatically going to calculate that it took me 2 days during the month of January to finish. And then this section right here is the characters. This is my scoring. So I score all my books based off of characters, vibes, and plots, and I have them weighted to where the characters and the vibe are weighted more heavily than the plot. So here I can say that for book 1, I rated the characters a 4 out of 5. The vibe I rated a 4 out of 5, and the plot I rated a 3 out of 5, and it's going to say my calculated score using my weights that I've identified, and I can always change them as I decide to later. It is 3.8, and then I can say, okay, the calculated score is 3.8. Maybe I think I need to up it to a 4-star instead of keeping it at 3.8 because that's just a weird number. People don't score using that number. Or I can decide I want to change that and I want to score it at 3.75. But it gives me an idea of what numerically what that book would be given my weights to those 3 categories. Now, this column is if I DNF'd it. So what it's going to do is if I have a start date and a stop date, but if I have this piece, if I delete these, there we go. If I delete my scoring off of here, it's going to say that I DNF the book because I am not going to rate books that I DNF. So if I have a start date and a finish date, but no scoring, the system is going to say I DNF'd it. So it's automatically going to say that that was a DNF book. As soon as I put in a score for characters, vibes, and plot, it's going to change that to a no because if I scored it, I didn't DNF it. So we'll just do that again. So 4, 4, 3, and then we'll do a 4-star. So DNF is no. And then these next 2 sections are character names. So that way I have a really, really, really bad problem of forgetting character names in my books. So this way I can write down book 1 was using Sarah and Josh. And then comments, those are just my initial comments and thoughts on that book. And that's really going to help me whenever I do my wrap-ups or just to remember kind of what my thoughts were as I was going along in the book. That's where I can put them in here. So that is my reading log. And it should, if we go to goal summary, you're going to see here, it now says book 1. And then I have to go in and change. I guess this is not wanting to. I need to change this to January. So now, as you can see, my pivot table is going to show that in the month of January, I read book 1. I had a score of 4, and then it was a dark romance. And then this is my little chart here. So that will be updated as I read my books. So that's kind of how those 2 are linked. And then we have my bookshelf. So this next tab is all of the books that I currently have on my bookshelf. I went through every single book that I own and put them in this log. So this is just alphabetized by last name. I picked whatever genre I think that book fits in. So I know there are some times that you have a thriller with a subplot of romance, with a subplot of sci-fi. I picked one. So these are just my genres that I think that book falls into. So I said the Mindfuck series, a dark romance. You might think it's a romance. You might think it's a mystery. I put it as a dark romance. So these are my genres, not what Goodreads or what you might think they might be. So I've gone through and I have updated every single book, put in the book title, the author's name, the genre, and whether I read them or unread them, or DNF them. This gray section is month, score, and if I DNF'd it. So we'll say, for example, the rule book. Let me go back to reading log and let me make this the rule book. I need to fix this because I overrode this one value. All right. So the rule book, let's say I read that. It automatically pulled the romance. And now if I go back to my bookshelf, it's going to say in here that I read this book in January. Here's a score, and it was not a DNF. So this is going to flag me that I can now change this. I don't have this piece automated because it's a drop down and I can't get it to work the way I want it to. I know it can. I just haven't maneuvered it yet. But what that will do is it will allow me to see that I need to change this status from unread to read, because now I see that I read it in January and I gave it a 4-star rating. So that is what that piece does. So it's kind of like a checks and balance that if I see something here, then I need to validate and make sure that this is marked as read or DNF or whatever the case may be. Now I have up the very top, this is showing, it's going to calculate on here. It says total books, and then it's doing a sum of all of the books that I currently have as read, unread, and DNF. So it's just doing one big sum to show that I currently own on my bookshelf 254 books. And of those books, this is calculating it's counting the total number of books that I have marked as read, the total number of books that I'm marked as unread, and then the total number of books that I've marked as a DNF. And then this is the percentage. So of my 254 books, 64.17% I have read. This is where I said I'm not going to hit my 2024 goal of 25% or less of unread books. So right now I'm at 35%, and I'm not going to have enough time in the next half a month to get this down 10%. It's just not going to happen. So this is what I'm starting with. I have 35% of my books that I currently have on my bookshelf is unread, and then I only have less than 1% as a DNF, because usually if I DNF it, I have it off of my bookshelf. This one book will always be on my bookshelf because I absolutely hate this book and I love to show and talk about why I hate it. So I will always have at least one DNF on my bookshelf. And then I have the next tab is my 25 books that I want to read in 2025. So I have identified a bunch of books that I wanted to read. A lot of these books are tied to a series that I want to finish out. For instance, the Windy City series, the Knock 'em Out series, the Devil Knight series. And then I do have those 3 classics identified that I wanted to try to read. And then I also have at the very bottom some memoirs that I wanted to read. So I have the Jeanette McCurdy and the Matthew Perry. Those were the 2 automatic ones that I wanted to read. So this is just a list of all of the books that I wanted to read in 2025. So this next tab is the books that I have either ordered or I want to buy. So I've identified all of the books that fall in that bucket. And if I have ordered them, I put down the seller that I ordered them from. And then if I have a tracking number, I'll go ahead and annotate it on here whenever I get that email, just so that way I know kind of where they're at so I can track it a little bit better. The ones in yellow are the ones that I have not bought yet, but those are the ones I would like to buy. And then I have over here a little chart of how many books that I'm going to have shipped right now in 2025. So I have 2 books coming to me in January, 3 books coming to me in February, and so on and so forth. So this just gives me an idea of what books that I have pre-ordered, because I have pre-ordered quite a few books and I don't want to accidentally buy the book twice. Then I have the next tab are the series that I'm in the middle of. So these are the series that I would like to finish. I am in the middle of way more books than what I have here, but these are the ones that I do want to try to finish. So I have the Windy City series, we have the Saga of the Unfated, we have Rose Hill, we have Magnolia Parks, Shatter Me, Infatuated Fae, Devil's Night, the Lord series, Boys of Tommen, Crowns of Nixia, Belladonna. There's a bunch of books here. And then I have also listed out the title of each of the books in that series, what their series book number is. So I know that I'm on book 3 of the Windy City series. I have a button here that if I click on it as read, it's automatically going to change this as read. If I don't have it checked, it says that it's not read. And then this is my little graphic of all of that information I just talked about. So it gives me an idea of how many of the series I still have unread. So the dark blue are the unread. So I know I have 4 books of Shatter Me. I have 4 books of The Devil's Night, 4 books of Lords, and I have 3 books of Wendy series and 3 books of Magnolia Parks that I still have to read. And then as new books come out in each of those series, then I'll just go ahead and add them to it. So that is all of the books that I'm in the middle of. And then this last tab is kind of a summary of everything that we've just talked about for the most part. And like I said, I like Excel. I live in Excel. I love tables. I love graphics. I love percentages. I love all that kind of stuff. So this is right up my alley. So what this is it is looking at my bookshelf. It's pulling the number of books that I've read, unread, and DNF'd, their percentages. Then down here, this is as of January the 1st of 2025. These are all of the percentages for the genres, the counts and percentages of the genres, and then the counts and percentages of the genres of the DNFs. And then it spits out all the formulas. So right now, if you've noticed, these are identical. The formulas that I currently have here are the same formulas that I have here. And the reason why I'm doing that is I don't want to override any of the formulas right now because I wanted to continuously update. So if I get a new book that I want to put on my bookshelf, it's automatically going to calculate that. But what I'm going to be doing is as of basically December 31st of 2024, I'm going to copy and paste as a value all of the numbers that are on January the 1st, 2025. So instead of having this being a formula, this is going to be a hard-coded number. So let's just say, for instance, that I get through the month of December and I read more of my books, and now the number of books read, I have 170 books. And then my number unread is, I don't even remember what that count was. We'll just say 80. Okay. These are all going to be hard-coded numbers so that way you can see how it's changed from January the 1st through the end of the year. But in order to kind of get the formulas to work correctly, I just have them like this for right now. So I'm just going to set these back. But that's what my graphics have. And then I do have all the tables so that way you can compare that as of January the 1st, you have December 31st, the unread for read, unread, and DNFs. The comparison between the time frame, same thing with the genres, and the same thing with the genre DNF'd. That is all of my Google Sheets and everything I'm going to be tracking as of right now for 2025. If you would be interested for having a blank Google Sheet, I have no problem copying this over, zeroing out all of my bookshelf tab, my 25 books to read in 2025, and then the books I've ordered, basically all of the content I have in here. I have no problem deleting them and having a blank template. If you would be interested, just draw me a comment down below and I can try to get that blank Google Sheets to you. So that way you'll be able to use it in 2025 if you would like to do something very similar. And then if you need to override any of the formulas, you're more than welcome to. But that way it gives you something to start with. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, please make sure you do so. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see everybody in my next video. Bye.